You're laughing already. I didn't do anything. It's going to be great. How are you?
Hey, Bill.
What a great pleasure.
No, pleasure for me.
Well, please. I see you. You know where you're set.
I do. I do.
I hope that I didn't inconvenience your travel. I know you don't live here.
No.
So you're here doing something. I know you didn't come all the way for me, but whatever reason, I'm thrilled you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
You know,
but I mean, you know, LA is not like someplace you find yourself too often. Is
I
it?
do.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I do. Yeah. Well,
Oh.
yeah.
I see already. I don't know that.
Well, I used to live here, you know, 20-something years ago. Just around the corner, actually, 5 minutes from here.
Oh my God! I always thought you lived in England.
No. Oh God, no. I left England probably coming up to just after the first album, because when the first album took off,
The 80s.
really took off in America.
Oh, I remember.
So
Yes,
for me, it was logical
I remember that
to
song.
well, I first moved to New York, and then New York almost killed me. So, and that, in fact, that was the last and first time I saw you and met you.
Was when?
It was in New York.
In the 80s?
Yeah. At some theater.
That song was
a theater that was a club.
I mean, you know, Christ.
But I remember it quite vividly because you were talking about me coming on the show, whichever show that was.
Oh, that must have been the 90s. We're talking about Politically Incorrect.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I had no show in the 80s.
Yeah. No,
But
yeah.
I remember that song was ubiquitous when it came out.
Which song?
Too Late for
Oh,
Goodbyes.
yeah.
And I remember you were on the cover of Rolling Stone, and of course they had to say, "Here Comes the Sun," even though that's not a John Lennon song.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work. It's not as clever as they thought it was.
No, of course, I know. I know. Listen, you know, it was to be expected, I think, and you know, it was going to be. I think not a battle, but something I had to be conscious of. And, you know, trying to make a name for yourself in my position was a very difficult thing
You
to
did
do.
great.
Thank you.
With a hand that you were dealt, that is, there's some good things, but it is extraordinarily difficult to be the son of a great man, no matter how great you are. You're almost in a no-win proposition.
Correct.
You are dealt an unwinnable hand.
Correct.
You know, it's like you've been dealt a 21.
If I live in that world, yes.
Yeah. Well, yes. But.
Which I kind of do. So, but I'm trying to extract myself from that.
But, you know, I also think it's so smart to embrace the Beatle past. Because, first of all, you're never going to be able to get away with it.
Of course not.
And it's a great legacy. And you're an honorable continuer of it. I mean, you've made very good records.
Thank you.
It's just, it was never, you know.
Not a lot of people heard them, but yes, thank you.
I've heard them.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a few songs that I feel like are. I'll tell you this. I just watched the Peter Jackson one again, and "Don't Let Me Down" was never my favorite.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. It's still in my iPod, but it was just not my favorite. Maybe it's too repetitive or something. But your song, which is, I notice you're not afraid to like, which I like, because it's like, you can't escape it, so embrace it. Love Don't Let Me Down.
Oh, yeah.
I like that song better than Don't Let Me Down.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
But there's a couple of Jacob Dylan songs that I like probably better than his father's, you know.
Well, we all have our moments. You know.
What are you saying? I'm crazy because I feel that way?
No. You know, I
remember the Wallflowers? They were good.
Yeah, they were, and he's a nice guy, and you know, he is, and I don't think you can dismiss, you know, the sons or daughters of, you know, artists, especially if they picked up on a few things. You know.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's been a long life, and I've worked hard at what I do to write to be a good songsmith, you know.
You do so many other
maybe not as commercial as some, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I've stuck to my guns on that, so to speak. You know, I've tried to be faithful to.
I'm similar. I'm not the most commercial.
Yeah.
You know, really, and that's okay. It's better to have a great niche than
I'd rather be real.
Big bunch of shit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's not. Now look, I'm not saying that people who have giant followings can't also be good, because they certainly can,
Correct.
like the Beatles.
Sure. No, of course. It's funny. I watched that documentary a couple of nights ago.
Which one?
The one about George in living in a material world.
Yeah, I did too.
And it was quite shocking to see that whole episode at the end, towards the end of his life. And really, I don't think I grasped it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Fully before, and
remind me
it saddened me that I didn't reach out more, you know, because
so this is the time between when he was stabbed and when he.
Yeah.
So he really.
I mean, we were close, but not close, you know.
Of course, yeah. Well, he's more
knocking
like
on the door,
like an uncle.
Yes.
Right.
Kind of.
No, I mean, this. When you watch this Peter Jackson documentary, you watched it.
Yeah. I saw the shorter version, the 100-minute version, at the theatre when it was first being introduced, and Peter Jackson was introducing it. And you know, I went with Sean, and I was unsure of how I was going to feel about all of this. Initially, I didn't want to go. I just thought, I really don't want to be in the middle of this. But Sean said he was going. I said, all right, well, brotherly love, we'll go, we'll stand united, and we'll deal with whatever comes up.
But again, to my point, you're always put in a corner, because if you don't go, that looks bad. So you kind of have
don't worry about that stuff anymore.
Yeah, but you kind of have to. You look like a spoil sport if you.
Well, I'm trying not to worry about that stuff anymore.
Anyway, so you went.
So I went. And I was beyond surprised, actually. I loved the fact that in the 100-minute version, Peter Jackson was there coming in about every 20 or 40 minutes or so. I don't know if you saw that version.
No, I didn't.
So he's sitting in a nice chair like this with Beatles artifacts.
That's not a nice chair.
It's comfortable. It's very comfortable. And he's got, guitars and Beatles artifacts around him. And he's explaining certain setups and situations. And as each time you came back to him, which was every half an hour or so, 20 minutes, half an hour, he'd have a different guitar in a different position, and the hair was slightly, bonkers like that. So he actually took the edge off of the whole, any stress that was there, and allowed Sean and I and everybody else to relax in that circumstance.
Let me tell you, as someone who is outside the circle, so you can get some information you can't possibly glean being so close to it, just as a fan. A young man in the 22nd row who sees Marilyn as something more than sexual.
Yeah.
She's not just our Marilyn Monroe to me. Yeah. Okay, that guy in the 22nd row, this documentary was very affirming, because how anyone could watch it for 9 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, you see
I did that after the fact.
Okay, but I'm talking about the 9-hour one.
Yeah. No,
that is the entire month of January. It's January 1969.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what happened before, I don't know what happened after, but I feel like I know where your father was in that month. Because there's a lot of footage.
Yeah.
And it was, first of all, he and Paul McCartney are in love. Yoko, is she there all the time? Yes. He never even looks at her. He never talks to her. It's just like a potted plant. Yeah. He's in love with Paul McCartney. They're, of course, because, first of all, they're working.
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing is them, and your father, certainly not on drugs.
Yeah.
And happy.
Yeah.
Happy to be there, and working with his boys and his band.
Well, the thing was, it reminded me of him, when I saw him as a kid, and how it was a fond recollection, because it was him being himself and being mad and bonkers and smart and funny and creative, and it just reminded me of the good things about him, because I'd lost a lot of that over the years, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, and it is, you could look, just like a love affair, and I'm not saying there's a gay element here. They're just two guys who love each other.
I get it.
But when people love each other, certainly men and women, it's a lot of like inside jokes.
Of course, yeah.
Right, and just looks. Paul and John are doing this to each other throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
They don't do it to the other two.
No.
And they certainly
certainly have their own.
They certainly don't do it to their girlfriends. Linda comes to a little bit, but it's like they are just third wheels.
It's their world. It was their world completely.
That really was. I'm telling you, to the fan, to think that that when we were told there's so much bullshit, I guess, because I'm going to believe my lying eyes. So much bullshit that they hated each other.
I know.
And no,
they had their moments. It's just like anybody else.
There must have become a time when they hate because we have the evidence. Your father wrote some songs.
For sure.
Like very mean.
Oh, yeah.
But it's obviously, again, it's more like a love affair.
Yeah.
It's not apathy.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
You don't want to be with me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
It's
100%.
a great love affair.
Yeah.
And it didn't end. It just like a real love affair. It just couldn't go on, I guess. But wow. And
it's funny. The older I get, and the more that I meet Paul in our later years, the more I can see that from him, which I didn't get that much of, earlier in life. But certainly, Paul did this whole National Gallery exhibition of all of his early pictures, which was, I went to the opening with, Paul asked me to come along, and I hadn't seen him for a long time, except a random meeting in Heathrow Airport when we both had delayed flights. Apart from that,
Paul McCartney flies commercial?
He was in Heathrow Airport, yeah.
Billionaire Paul McCartney.
He was in Heathrow Airport, sitting on his own, just chatting away with his earpods in, some conversation. And a friend of a friend said, "Your Uncle Paul's outside." And I said, "What?" And so I sneak outside, come up behind him and say, "Hey, Paul." He almost had a heart attack, of course. And we sat there chatting away for a little bit. And,
you have so much history with that guy. And again...
Yeah, but we've never, it's weird. And I've said this a number of times, that we're close, but we're not that close. We know a great deal about each other, but we've never even done this, this.
Really?
Apart from that moment in Heathrow, and we keep saying that, and he keeps telling me, and we're going to try and push for this year, sooner than later anyway, to actually, he keeps telling me, I've got so many stories about your dad that I've never told anybody, that I want you to hear about. And he gave me some samples that I'd never heard before. But we're just got to find the time and lock in the time to do that.
Do it like yesterday.
I know. I really.
And because I think also for him, just talking to you now, I never met you before for more than a minute. We never certainly talked like this.
Certainly, yes.
But talking about, I see it's the best of your father without any artifice from you're not trying.
Nothing.
So for him, I think that would be such a delightful thing. The closest thing he'll ever have to talking to his old friend. You turned out well. It's not like you turned out a ne'er-do-well, or full of yourself, or any of the bad qualities.
There's been moments, but
yeah,
same with all of us. But
yeah, nothing. I never read anything bad.
Well, yeah, back in the day.
Why, were you naughty or something?
No, not really. I had.
You got out of a limo and your pussy was showing.
I had my moments, but not quite like that. No, I was bit of a naughty boy at times, but I was always concerned. From day one, I've always been concerned about my mum. Mum was everything to me, Cynthia. So
Right.
I mean, partly the reason why I am the way I am is because, I wanted her to be proud of me, and so I never wanted to do anything that would upset her, and so that was a big focus for me throughout life,
It's amazing the way, like, parental cycles. Now I fucked that sentence up because
okay.
they go in. But I'm saying
no, it's all right.
the way they go
Take
in,
two.
they go in cycles. You know what I mean? Like what is visited upon an adult, or a child, when they become a parent, they visit it on their child.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That's
There are certain elements for sure. Yeah, no question about that.
I mean, your father certainly felt abandoned.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then he kind of did it to you.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've said this before, by the way, but that was one reason I didn't want to have kids at an early age.
And you never had them?
Huh?
And you never had them?
There's still time as far as I'm concerned.
But so far you haven't?
No.
Me neither.
No.
See?
Well, we're in some kind of club, but I'm not sure that's random enough.
60 is the new childless.
It is, absolutely. But, I just knew that cycle.
But you want one,
and I didn't.
You're saying.
Oh, yeah, I'd like it.
See, that's the difference.
I think I want one.
I know I don't.
Right.
Like, this is the one thing in my life that has been so consistent. Like, when I was a child, I didn't like children.
Yeah.
And it just is a complete flat line through my whole life. It never changed.
Well, the only other choice is that if Sean beats me to the punch or pip or whatever you call it, then at least I can,
He doesn't have a kid either.
No, but
he's not a kid himself anymore.
No, not at all. Which shocks me every time I speak.
Right. What is he? 45? If you're.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. It hurts my head.
It's amazing that I'm still 40 and these people.
Well, I agree
keep
with you
passing
because
me. I don't know.
Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, you look great for your age. I mean, unbelievable. You don't have to be decrepit. People think.
I hate that.
I do too.
It really ticks me off.
What do you think about the people who say Biden is too old to run?
So does the look say it all?
Just going to do a take? What are you, John from? What was the guy in The Office?
Listen, if he can perform, then maybe it's okay. But I tend to stay out of politics.
But it's not even politics. You just?
If he can do the job, then I think it's okay.
He's doing the job. I mean, look.
Or his team is.
Do I love everything? No, but I just kind of resent this. Oh, he's just beyond help.
No, ageism. A whole thing annoys the crap out of me.
It's not a problem that any other president would have if we weren't in the television media age.
Yeah.
Lincoln didn't have to worry about stumbling.
They just got on with the business.
Right. It all happened behind closed doors, which is where a president does his work with his fucking staff in the Oval Office, making important decisions. And then they do the work. They don't need somebody reading prompters and getting on bicycles. All the bullshit
that kissing babies thing.
Well, Joe with a baby, he molests babies. This has to stop also. I know. He's terrible. But I'm just saying, all the places they catch him looking bad are things he really shouldn't have to be doing in the first place. If we weren't such babies and demanded that the president kiss our fucking babies.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%.
All right.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you don't get too political, because that's what the reason I started this podcast was I have a show about politics.
Yeah.
I'm looking not to do that.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bit of a busman's holiday.
You get nothing from me.
Good. But you are an environmentalist. That's a political.
I care. Yeah.
Well, we all care, but I mean, you take it a little further. I mean, you do things.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. It's not, I do it in my own little way. I mean, predominantly it's, it's covered by donations from the public, and anybody else that cares. And I just focus it on the issues that I care about,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think even detractors of mine, if you said, environmentalists, they would say yes. He's always been out front on that issue.
I remember in my youth, younger years, that I used to love. Oh my God, what was it called?
Crack?
No, no. Talking about smoke. Senza mia. I just used to fall off the chair laughing at everything.
I remember that
Senza
word.
mia. The smell was amazing.
Was that a type of pot?
Yeah, and it just made you
Right.
laugh, piss your pants. Yeah, that was amazing.
I think. I mean, when I first smoked, I didn't start till I was 19, which is late for kids.
Okay, I was smoking regular cigarettes by started about 11 years old. So.
11?
Oh yeah, 11, 12 years
Why?
old.
Because it would make
It
you
was
look cool?
that's what all the kids in Liverpool and the neighbourhood were doing, you know.
But you weren't in Liverpool when you were 11.
I was actually in Hoylake and Mells, which was the Wirral, which is 20 minutes by train from Liverpool.
Huh.
So I was that close, you know. It was a bit more countrified and a bit more.
You were probably you were born in '63, right? So,
correct. Yeah.
So John wasn't still living at Menlove Avenue, was he? In '63?
No.
But you don't remember Liverpool. Like you grew up when they moved closer to London. Like, didn't he live in the suburbs of London in the mid '60s?
I'm trying to think where we were. Surrey was the place that I remember. Kenwood, Surrey, which was this beautiful old Tudor house.
So it's a suburb of London?
Yeah.
Like you can drive into London?
It's another county. Yeah.
It's like
45 minutes an hour away.
It's like exactly
something.
where I grew up with New York City.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Yeah, the rich people live out in the nice suburb.
Of course.
So that's the house you remember?
That's the house I mostly remember spending time with him and doing things with him.
Oh.
That was just before Yoko came along. But that's where I remember, you know, lots of people coming over, lots of celebs coming over. That's where I remember going on the back of Dad's little monkey bike to Ringo's, who used to live around the corner.
Oh, really?
That's where I remember being on the roof of the house making balsa wood planes with the rubber bands and flying them into sunsets and things like that. So, you know, father and son stuff, you know, that was kind of, it was kind of good and cute back in the day.
And this is where, like, Paul would drive up so they could write songs together?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Did you ever catch any of that going on in the
No,
house?
that was, Dad had his little studio in the attic, so I never kind of went up there. That was out of bounds. Although I was locked in one of those rooms when there was a party once. That's another story.
What's that story?
Well, I just, you know, there was a big party going on and Mum decided it was best I was kept out of the way of whatever was going on downstairs.
Why, because they were doing drugs?
I have no idea. There was a lot of noise, that's all I remember.
And you don't do any drugs now?
No.
No?
Not really.
Nothing?
No.
You don't even drink?
I do. I do. But, you know, I came round here, in fact, to get some painkillers as I've got a major headache.
Here specifically to Club Random or to California?
Both. No, I'm a solid Jack Daniels, Jack and Coke drinker.
Did we get you what you want?
Yeah, but I with the head.
But you don't drink a lot.
I'm one of those kind of binge drinkers that I
really.
I don't really drink at all. I can't drink in the day. Don't want to drink. I like being clear and focused.
Right.
And
you're too old to binge drink. You can binge drink when you're 30.
Oh no, you know, if I've done a lot of good work and I've got a Friday night off and I know that I'm not working for a few days after, I'll take it out till you know, the sun's up without any problem.
Kidding.
Oh no, that's
you fucking English.
Yeah.
Your ability to the English and the Irish to put away liquor. I drove through England twice. It was fun. Once like in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I just remember that we would go into the pubs, wherever it was. And first of all, I loved the idea of the pub because unlike America, it did not segregate by generation.
Yeah. No.
We completely segregate by generation. You would never see someone who wasn't the appropriate age.
Right.
Bar.
Yeah.
You know, they gather only with people their age. And here it's neighborhood. It's by geography.
Yeah.
It's old and young. But there were so many people passed out on the bar stool.
Yeah, famous for
and
that.
It was not considered socially unacceptable.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that far, but yeah.
I think you call it pissed, getting pissed.
Oh yeah, getting pissed, which of course here means angry.
Yes, exactly. But
what are you on today? Tequila? I think that's a favorite.
I'm having a little tequila. Yeah, but I drink beer.
If it was a Friday night, I'd be all in.
Why? Because you got to do something tomorrow.
I've always got to do something.
Really?
Yeah. No,
you don't take vacations?
Hardly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're just a workaholic?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess
I mean, I've been trying to take some time out to breathe, but there's always something going on somewhere, and I can't seem to switch off properly. It's a problem. It's a real problem.
Yeah.
Because it'll kill me in the end if I don't. But I mean, at the end of last year when I finished, I got to a point after 2.5 months of being out here doing promotion for Jude, and especially lots of radio stuff, and it got to the point where I just said, I got to stop. I can't. I'm gonna lose the plot here, and I told my manager Rebecca, I've got to get.
Why? Why was it so bad? Well, what was?
Well,
they just ask stupid questions.
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of it was live. And I can't exactly remember the stations or locations, but you'd send them a bio with everything you've been doing for 5 years.
They don't read it.
They don't even. Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Of course, I do radio interviews.
Of course.
And it's like they'll read something off. It's like a book I put out in 1993. Like they didn't even look what year. So you've got this book.
I know.
Does anybody have a problem with that? Yeah, it came out in 93. Read the whole.
My favorite was that really just I just lost the plot. Well, I didn't actually. I kept stum, but. I think you're aware that I changed my name by deed poll.
I heard that. I never knew your name really was John Julian Lennon.
Yeah, John Charles Julian.
I had to absorb that first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're switching the plot again.
Yeah. Julian Charles John.
And why? Yeah. Because it was like travel was
it was just a nightmare all the time. I mean, travel was a nightmare. More increasingly so with security, and even going to appointments here in LA with labels or this, that, and the other. You go to security, they give you a sticker saying John Lennon, and I'm going, really? And airlines and tickets
like
and yes, no.
Yes. Okay. You look like him. You sound like him.
I look more like Mum, I think, or my Uncle Tony, to be honest.
I mean,
but I can really slide under the radar. I'm very good at just. I like daily life. I like shopping. I like going and picking the fruit that I want to eat, etc., etc. I do all that, but I just was a bit tired of being the second John, is what I've sort of.
So where are you living now?
I live in Monaco.
Monaco, fuck.
Yeah, as a base, yeah.
Ringo lived there for a long time, didn't he?
He did, in a building that looked like a prison.
He lived in a building?
Oh, he lived in a high-rise that looked like a
a high-rise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still there. It's quite an
ugly. And what kind of place do you have?
I have a little apartment that I've had to move around a few times, but I finally bought a one-bed apartment in the port, in between the pole position and first corner of the Grand Prix. I'm not a big Grand Prix guy, but it's fun sometimes to be there.
But other than that, what is the attraction of Monaco? Tax?
Saving your money.
Why? There's no taxes there. Is that why people?
Yeah,
of course. It must be gorgeous, also, right?
There's elements.
Isn't it right on the water? And
yeah, it's definitely right on the water. But
I'm getting this from movies.
I mean, the main old centre, the town centre with the classic casino and the Hotel de Paris and the Café de Paris, those kind of things, and being right on the water. Also, it's France is just there. which is beautiful, and I love France and the French countryside. But also, Italy is literally 30 minutes away. It's not even 30 minutes away, and I love Italy. My first stepfather was Italian, Roberto Bassanini, and he was literally like an older brother rather than a father to me.
Who was he?
Huh?
Who was he to you?
He was my stepfather, my first stepfather.
I see. So Cynthia married.
Yes, Mum remarried Roberto, and in the 70s, and it was.
And he was straight up Italian.
Oh, full on.
Right.
You know, full on.
How did she meet him?
It came about from several introductions and groups of people. I don't know the actual finer details, but his family were involved in restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. He was like the black sheep of the family, because he was very naughty.
She got dealt a tough hand too.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Your
for
mother.
Sure.
Oh.
Oh no. You know, I'd always felt she you know, had it hard, and for me, again, it was about protecting her and looking after her in every way, shape, and form that I could.
Also, I must say, there's this thing that men do.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to start a fight with them. We finally repaired our relationship, well, before the pandemic, and we're getting along great. Howard Stern.
Oh, okay.
But like, you know, and when he did my real-time show, like right before the pandemic, and you know, he's kind of razzing me in a good-natured way.
I'm sorry I didn't see that, because I watch your show often.
Oh, it's you can YouTube it.
Okay.
How he was only on once ever, so that's that. And he's saying to me, like, you know, but Bill, you know, you're successful, but you don't you want to settle down? You know, like, and he goes on about how much he loves his wife, Beth, which he has been doing on the air for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But we know Howard had this other wife before Beth. So he's trying to make me seem like I'm the, you know, slightly immoral one because I won't settle down.
Of course.
And all I could think of is, how does this gushing about the second wife, how does that make the first wife feel? You know?
Yeah.
Could we just not gush about the person while the other person still can hear it?
Yeah, well, it depends how it all ended, really, I think. Mm-hmm. I think it depends how she feels about the whole circle. You know, the first wife, she might have been happy to get out of the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's still, I don't care. It's still gross. It's still mean in a way.
Yeah.
To like be like, oh, and celebrities.
Well, there's a lot of that going on.
Stupid celebrities do it all the time.
All the time.
They like, I was not alive before her. Everything I was doing must have been like taking a shit compared to being with this woman I'm with now. And the first chick is like, what?
But I just think, well, especially in Hollywood, of course, this is such an incestuous town in that in the relationship field.
Yes.
It's, you know, it's the jumping beds every other friggin' week. You know, it's their undying love every 6 months to a year, going, I found true love, and then the next minute, you know, they're shacking up with someone else.
I feel like a lot of what celebrity pairings are about is this human thing that we all have to like not be with someone who you feel like is like not your peer, you know, as far as attractiveness and, you know, good catch. And so like it doesn't shock me when two celebrities of similar seismic force meet together and be like, yes, it is correct that I, you know, Batman, I'm with you, you know, giant star. And I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm misreading this, but there is a sort of
it's comical.
I have to be with someone worthy of me, or else I look bad. And I don't know if that's the thing you want to use to drive your love life.
No. But it seems very important and relative here to have someone that's in the public eye as well, that will fit nicely, you know.
Me?
No.
They don't. Oh, they don't.
No.
They don't care about me, which is good, unless I do something bad. Then they'll write.
You haven't done anything very bad.
Well, let's not go there. There's a few things, but that people got upset about. But you know, water under the bridge and moving on. But
sliding out the door there.
Yeah, no. I mean, I try to do a good, clean show for a good, clean country.
Yes.
But yeah, once in a while, you know, you can't count yourself honest unless sometimes you go over the line, because, you know, if you're saying I'm really, I mean, every show like pretends they're edgy, they're not. Mine is.
Yes.
And that's why people hate it also. I get that.
Yeah.
By the way, the first guy to get canceled was your father when he said, "Geez, we're more popular." That really was, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
That is like almost the first time where that happened. We're like, okay, that was a like, you know, attempt to do what they do all the time now. We're going to burn their records. It was organized. You know what I mean? It's like they're coming to
They're waiting for something to happen, or
right,
to say
and
something.
It's like, oh, it's just perfect. We got him on Jesus, and you know, you can't do worse than that in the Bible Belt in America.
Oh, no.
So if you're booked to play Kansas City after you just said your band was better than Jesus, it's not going to be a good look.
Yeah,
and just the hounding of the, you know, like trying to get the apology, and then that's not enough of an apology. We want the Soviet apology. You know what the Soviet apology is, Julian? That's when you start with, thank you for making me aware of what a despicable piece of shit I am and what I did.
Yes, indeed.
And your father wouldn't do it. I mean, he said a kind of a, you know, that great...
He did say sorry a few times, but they wouldn't accept that. It was not good enough. You know.
No, he didn't really say sorry, which is good. He said, I think he said something like, I never said that Jesus was greater than us or better than us. I just said what I said, and it was wrong, or it was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
Yeah.
That's not really I'm sorry, unless
there was I agree. I agree with you on that point.
And it was said with disdain.
Yeah.
Which is why we loved him.
Yeah.
Us people in the 22nd row.
Yes, I know.
Because it was, you know, that kind of cheekiness. I also remember that great moment he had when they were making Apple. You were 5 years old. I came to America after the India trip.
Yeah.
And so they were doing a press conference. He obviously didn't want to be there. And like, what is your new company doing? You know, we're just going to make stuff so that if someone wants to make a film or a record, they don't have to go on their knees begging in somebody's office, probably yours. I thought, nobody talks to the press like that. You know, to be able to have the balls to get away with fuck you and you'll still like me.
Yeah, I know.
That was.
He certainly had his way.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, it's the right thing to do, to embrace your heritage, because who else can do it? Well, I guess you're your half brother.
Yeah. Sean's a good kid. I mean, I love him immensely. You know, but he's incredibly talented, incredibly gifted. He works his ass off. You know.
As a musician, you say?
As a musician, he's an intellectual without question.
Right.
But you know, he doesn't stop. I mean, he's in like three or five bands. You know, he's and in between playing live or recording, you know, he's producing other acts. So he's always out there. He's always on it. I mean, I'm very proud of him. But I've kept my eye on him since he was a baby. You know, I always, you know, took that mantle of, you know, even when Dad passed, that I, you know, whatever you need, I'm here. You know, I've got your back, and I've.
But what did he need?
Well, I mean, his life isn't so straightforward. It's not, you know. You know, there's been many ups and downs for him too. It's not my place to go into detail about those things, but you know, he's had his moments, but he seems like an incredibly well-adjusted man, and I'm proud of him. You know,
he always seems like a cool guy.
We try to, you know, FaceTime or Zoom every couple of weeks, and we're just like this and chatting away about.
And what about working with him? Did you ever think about working?
Yeah, we've talked about it. We have a plan at some point, that when we both have the time to do it. But yeah, there's something we want to do together. We want to play around with an idea, and I think it's a nice idea. So you have to wait and see. I'm not winding you up, but it's just it'll have its time and place, you know.
No, I mean, who else in the whole world do you have who, you know, it's like, well, that's the only person who
but
can.
But it's the whole sibling thing, and how our voices should sound together and do sound together. So it's
you know, I don't know. I can't conjure up the sound of his voice the way I can yours right now. Is it like yours?
There's certain tonal qualities without question. He has a slightly thinner and lighter voice, and I'm a bit more of a fuller and a real rocker at heart underneath it all when I want to be, you know.
I have 2 old dogs here, so I know that I'm going to have to, at some point, you know, you face it, invite 2 new young dogs in my life when these dogs pass away.
Yeah.
My assistant tells me they're going to live on a farm. I think it's bullshit, but I'm just going to go along with it because that's what celebrities do. You just go along with the bullshit. No, so like, I have been thinking of names for the new dogs. And I'm also like reading the training book. I was telling somebody like, these 2 dogs that I'm going to get, my next 2 dogs, it's going to happen, you know, these dogs are
the person I'm staying with, a dear friend of mine for over 30 years, 5 minutes away from here, is going through exactly the same thing.
I've been through it before with dogs. They break your heart.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. So like, I was telling somebody that these next 2, I'm reading this training book. I'm going to do it right. I never train my other dogs. I let them run all over the place. They don't listen to me. I said, I'm going to do it right with the crate and the whole thing. And I read the book. And she said, you're like that guy who's 50 and gets married for the second time and is like, I'm going to do this one right. I'm going to be there for the kid. I was on tour the whole time for the first kid. And that's me with my dogs. I'm going to do this one right, and I'm going to raise them right, and I'm going to be there for them.
Well, I wish you.
I'm going to watch where they poop and make sure.
Watch where they poop.
But, well, I hope you do something with Sean. That would be.
Yeah, we will.
There's a certain sound that.
It's timing.
You know, there's a Beatle sound that.
But you got to think where the Beatles got their sounds from as well, and their harmonies.
Yeah, but of course, everything.
There's a lot of that to look into as well.
Yeah, there is, but there's also just a Beatles sound. And when lots of people, they will do songs. Billy Joel has done songs where you go, oh, that's very Beatlesque.
Yeah, sure.
Remember Oasis?
Yeah.
Ringo still puts out albums that's their sound, Beatlesque.
Yeah.
So for someone of my generation, you know, who that was, you know, not just. I thought it was, and still think it's great music, but it also has an emotional quotient.
Yes.
You know, at that age and first into music and fighting with my sister over the record player with our little 45, you know. So to hear that kind of Beatlesque sound, which you still make, and I mean that as a compliment, I like that sound.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it gets rarer and rarer to find people who do it. And when a modern artist like gets that sound, and some of them do.
Yeah.
Maroon 5, I think, have done it a little bit, a couple of times.
Tears for Fears, of course.
Tears for Fears, yes. Crowded House, maybe.
Yeah, Crowded House.
I mean, we like the Beatles. We like that kind of polished.
There's not a great deal of, excuse me, there's not a great deal of younger, newer artists that tend to lean that way, at least not that I've heard in recent years, I don't think.
What do you think about today's music? Boy, can you believe this Taylor Swift tour?
That's
almost
astonishing.
Beatlesque.
It's I mean, Harry Styles wasn't far behind on that, you know.
Really?
I mean, the size of the tour, the energy, the amount.
Yeah, but there wasn't this kind of the reason why I say Beatlesque is because
the insanity.
Also that it transcends just music and it's sort of a cultural moment. That's what the Beatles own.
Yeah. Very
right.
True.
I mean, it's sometimes things go beyond just their genre.
For sure.
And I guess I should. I guess I have to listen to more Taylor Swift. I don't know it well enough to pass judgment.
No,
the stuff I've just heard on the radio, it makes me go, really? What is this about?
It's young pop.
Every day I turn on the TV, and they've got pictures of all these celebrities at her concerts. And,
I saw. I mean,
all of that. It's just so you know.
Yeah, I was the first on at the European Video Awards, Video Music Awards, and I was giving her the first award. And I'd met her before very briefly.
Who?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Come in, number 9.
Sorry, bro.
Taylor Swift. So,
that's right, Taylor Swift.
And she's lovely. You know, she's on it. She's focused.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
I mean, she's really on it, you know.
Yes, it reminds me a little of Madonna in the early 80s. But Taylor Swift, you know, has in common, like, a kind of fierce ambition. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
I agree. No, I'm going to take care of my business first. I'm not going to be out partying and getting out all I'm going to do my business. And she's smart, you know, like Madonna's smart. But Madonna, I felt, has an icy quality to her that Taylor, I think, you know, there's a you could see a bond with the fans where she does not have that ice queen thing, which is, I think, good.
Yes. Yeah.
Madonna, I got to give her credit because it's like, you're just such a great record. Made so many great records.
Yeah, for sure.
And had lots of cultural impact too. So, you know, I got to give it up to that. Like, in spite of your personality, we like you so much.
Yeah, she's an interesting character, that's for sure.
Never looks like someone you want to just have a drink with.
No, I had an interesting run-in with her.
A run-in?
Well, not run-in, but it was back in the days with Sean Penn. And he was.
I know Sean Penn.
Yeah, I know you did. He's a great guy.
Oh.
We bump into each other every once in a while.
The best.
We have some good conversations.
Three of us should go out.
The wee hours in the morning.
3 of us should go out one night.
I think I'd be up for that.
And
absolutely.
I'd like to be there when you. What did you say? You're going to drink till dawn? I'll be having Maalox.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
No, not drinking. I don't fuck with that. No, I microdosed some mushrooms last weekend. I thought
I was on a course of that for a while because of I had some severe anxiety and depression over the years, and someone I know was talking to me about microdosing, and so I went to see a pro about this and was put on a kind of course, so to speak, and for a couple of months it really made a bit of a difference. It just got me out of the fog and of the slight darkness I was feeling, but it got to a point where it didn't do anything anymore, and I just felt like I'd cleared some of the crap out of the way. But every once in a while, if I do get a little foggy again, I'll just take a little bit, and sometimes it helps. And
I ask you a question about depression.
Yeah,
you
sure.
say you have depression.
I've been through the mill on depression. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I certainly have known a lot of people who say the same thing, and I don't doubt that it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to understand where it comes from, because, like, in my life, I know many times when I was depressed.
Yes.
But I always knew why. It was because something in reality was so shitty that I was depressed about it. It wasn't just like I'm depressed for no reason. The depressed for no reason people are the ones I'm trying to understand.
No, there's always a reason. It's just that you can't always figure it out what that is. And
I could always figure it out.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little time.
Girls don't like me. And I'm probably going to be a failure in comedy.
I'm right behind you on that.
That's what depressed me.
I'm right behind you on that one.
When I first moved to New York and lived in, I was staying in a horrible place, a slummy place, and hanging out at the clubs, not even getting on, not looking like the future was going to be bright in comedy.
Yes.
Poor, no girls, New York, rough town, especially if you're poor and stupid.
Yeah.
And I was depressed a lot. But it was like, that's why I'm depressed.
Yes.
There was if I like suddenly my career picked up and chicks liked me, I would have been not depressed.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's something different from what people who have depression, and it's more like of a chemical thing. It's not really what's happening in reality that will affect it, right?
Yeah, I agree that there's almost two parts to it in that regard.
You had that other part.
Yeah, I feel I've definitely been through the mill on several occasions where I couldn't see a way out of certain darknesses.
And have you ever got to the bottom of why it is? Could it be not enough tequila?
It's certainly something to do with, you know, where we are in life and how we think, and, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, a lot of it is overthinking as well.
Well,
But I mean, there's times I'll wake up in the morning and I'll feel fine jumping out of bed, and then I'll just feel overwhelmed by. I also have that thing. Is it agoraphobia?
agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia.
Fear of open spaces.
Well, going outside sometimes.
That's agoraphobia. From the agora.
But I push myself through all that crap.
From the agora.
From the agora.
Marketplace. The Greek word for marketplace.
Is that so?
Absolutely.
Agora. I like the marketplace.
Look it up on your magic light box. Agora. The agora, the marketplace in ancient Greece.
You learn something new every day.
If you were
but why
afraid,
would I be afraid of going to the marketplace?
Because it's in the open. Because it's an open air marketplace. This wasn't the Nanuet Mall. This is ancient Greece.
Yeah, but I guess part of it is that because I've always felt that I've been stared at a lot, looked at a lot. And,
you have. That's not paranoia. You have.
My every move has been.
Yes, that happened.
Yeah, I know, and so on occasion I don't want to deal with that, and I can't deal with that.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No. Hey, bro. I mean, you got.
If I'm feeling a little fragile, a little shaky inside, and just don't feel, things in life may be going as well as they could or should,
You were born with a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Just born with it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
But it's funny how, I don't say this in an odd way, but it's funny that if I say that, I've been out and I went to the supermarket, this and that, and the social media, I'm quite open with, I'm quite honest and straightforward.
Yeah.
And people go, and it's mostly Americans. It's like, well, how do you walk down the street without being recognized? How come you're not bothered? And I'm saying,
people are so stupid about that.
But the funny thing is, for the most part, especially in Europe, I can pretty much go wherever, and 99.9%.
No one mobs people our age, no matter who you are.
Well, I
mean, Bruce Springsteen maybe would get mobbed, especially if he walked through the parking lot at a Bruce Springsteen concert.
Well, that's.
But, trust me, the TikTokers are not mobbing Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I mean, you can't imagine, I can't, what it must be like for those kind of people, and we have them in the world today, again, Taylor Swift, or, people, Jay-Z, people who just, you cannot go anywhere.
Yeah, I can't.
Without a phalanx.
I couldn't imagine that. I mean, I had that with the first album and tour and things like that.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember being in New York at one of the main Parker Meridian back in the day, and
Parker Meridian.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That
nothing happened, but
a few things happened.
Okay, for you. It happened for you, of course, because you're a musician.
Apparently.
Like,
anyway, there was quite the occasion where, you'd see all the front was chocker with the fans, and you'd try and go out some side door or back door, which they did have. And, of course, there'd be hundreds of fans there too. And I just remember back in the day is just walking out, and it freaked me out being surrounded by so many people who just literally were trying to rip your clothes off, pull your hair out. And, I've always been polite, so I said, I would sign autographs, but my legs and hands were shaking so much I had to kneel on the ground just to get through this. And then, after I did everyone's, I'd kind of walk off and they'd kind of let me be. But that happened a few times, and I didn't like it. I really, really didn't like it. And so, I fell out of love with that kind of concept of fame, so to speak.
I must be frank with you and tell you that I cannot relate to this.
Okay.
The whole we need to use a side door part of show business I have skipped. And that's fine. I'm not complaining about it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to lie. I think it might be fun to have experienced that for
a
long time.
No, for a minute it was okay.
And I have been robbed of that experience.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
But it's never too late.
No, it's never too late. That's what I think.
But just that kind of excitement that usually only is with musicians.
Yeah.
There are Eddie Murphy certainly had that, got it. There are exceptions, but it's mostly this kind of like frenzied, almost atavistic, almost scary sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Like energy.
Totally. Because also the other thing was I also get jealous of bands because you have it's your team around you. It's your and as a solo artist, for me, I've never been comfortable with it. Never been comfortable.
With what?
So with being a solo artist, because even when performing live on stage, they would always put you out the front of the stage, and the rest of the band would be shadowed behind you.
But you still have a band.
But I would always want to take the microphone and pull it back into the band environment.
Oh, really?
So I can see my friend on the guitar, my friend on the bass.
All right.
I never liked that, just being right out there in front. So, it was a lot of, especially TV shows, didn't quite understand that.
I know.
But they're the band. I want to be part of the band.
That definitely is something that a comic misses.
Being out front.
No, that feeling, we are such lone wolves.
Yeah.
And we don't want someone opening for us because comedy is very delicate, you come to see me, you're going to see me for 90 minutes. Not somebody else with a different point of view.
Yeah.
But that feeling that you can see, like in the Let It Be film or any film with a band, you just see this kind of communication that they do through their music, through their instruments. That comics kind of know when we sit around and riff with each other. It's kind of our version of jamming. But it's more primal in music.
Yes.
And again, I would love to know what that feels like. I bet you it's a little like heroin. So don't start.
It's great having that connection with people around you and that support.
And feeling the music.
Because you just know that, they've got your back and vice versa. So I think that's an important, at least that's always been important for me as a performing artist. I haven't done it for a long time now, and I'm thinking about it again, but it would take a lot of work for me to actually get back in that role of running around like a headless chicken,
man.
Or not.
Is that what they call it?
Front
the
man,
front man.
Well, exactly.
The front man.
I've always enjoyed performing live, but that was back in the day when I was, we were young and we were, we'd go straight from the gig to the hotel bar and then out on the town.
Really?
I don't know if I could drink.
Why'd you go to the hotel bar first?
What?
Why did you go to the hotel bar first?
Oh, it was the meeting point.
Oh, I see.
And then you'll bugger off out to all the late night places and strip joints and whatever. Back in the day.
How dare you accuse me? You didn't accuse me.
In our youth, yeah.
Well, you know what? A friend of mine told me, don't let the old man in.
I agree with you.
And you know what?
I refuse. I'm totally in denial.
I still go out after the show.
You do?
Yeah. So fuck you.
Good man. Okay.
Yeah, don't let the old man in.
Yeah, okay.
You can be circumspect.
Yeah,
but I mean, you're not married, right? No. Yeah. So why not have fun or just be out? I mean,
because it hurts the next day, and then you got up.
It hurts if you drink to excess. Why do you have to drink to excess?
The funny thing is, that's what I've been learning over the past 5 years, is
what?
Having a good time without anything. not drinking that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now that's
Being happy with me in the open spaces without.
Talk about burying the lead. Look, we've. Jesus.
It's been important. It's been really important.
And that's the last 5 years? That's recent.
Well, it's past 70, since my mum passed. I wanted to find a way where I could just be content in some capacity, find some balance, blah, 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 blah.
Well, you're a better man than I, Gunga Din. I cannot imagine a life without marijuana.
Right, yeah. I've never understood that. I mean, one of my best friends, she just smokes from morning to noon.
But see, I don't do that.
Oh, she doesn't.
I don't even smoke every day.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'm a situational smoker.
Really?
Right, and this is a situation. That's why I have people.
Of course.
That's why I have people over. But it is.
Really? So then, how do you deal with the in-between days? I mean,
I'm fine. It's better this way because I live 2 lives.
Yes.
Mostly sober, and then this is a treat.
Right.
And when I do this, I'm going to be doing something else that I really like.
Right. Okay.
I wouldn't go into detail about the other thing is, but it rhymes with Rex.
Yeah.
Right?
Understood.
And writing.
Writing.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm about to venture into the major writing.
What do you mean?
So, well, I've decided that I figured I should get my life on paper in some way.
Oh, a memoir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd read that.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it the normal way. I have quite an interesting concept where it would be a book that would interest me. That's kind of what I do with everything artistically. I try and do things that would interest me.
Yeah.
So I've got a unique perspective on the book, and I'm about to jump in the deep end as of probably next week to start.
It's the right time for that.
Well, I also, this is a bit, but I realise that I have the worst memory in the world. I can't even remember how to play my own songs, my own lyrics, not a clue. Because I'm one of those people that just kind of writes, records, produces, put it out, and then I'm on to the next thing. So,
right.
So I really don't have great recollection of probably my 20s to 30s to 40s, really. And, unfortunately, a lot of my good and dear friends are, moving on in age, and some have passed already. And a lot of them remember my life more than I do. And so I wanted to try and remember those times and those places through other people, through the friends and people, guitarists and other musicians that I've worked with over the years. So that's been part of the process of gathering up, little anecdotal stories from them, which will help me click into gear.
When we make this into a movie.
Yes.
Okay, here's.
It's going to be an animated movie.
You always have to start with a grabber, right? And then you put a thing on the screen 2 years earlier, or something like that.
I'm not going to follow a timeline. That's for sure.
But in the movie version, the grabber, the first thing we see is Paul McCartney driving up to your house, writing "Hey Jude."
Is it?
That's the grabber, right? We all
That's your grabber, but I know
for the audience.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You want this movie to sell? Because that's what people know.
This is true.
Start with what they know. Hook them in on that, and it's a great story.
It is. It's not a bad.
I mean, it tears your heart out that he was the only Beatle. Why am I talking like Trump? He was the only Beatle.
Yeah, I mean, God help us.
Everyone else was disgusting.
Yeah.
And
I can't do that. I can't do that voice.
But driving up and writing "Hey Jules" to cheer you up because of the kid who's going through a divorce. Yeah. I mean, you cannot come up with a better scenario to hook the Lifetime. I see this on Lifetime.
Okay.
Network.
Thanks for that.
I'm kidding.
Jeez, it's over before it's begun.
No, and then we can go anywhere because now they love what they're going to see.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great story.
It's a sentimental point.
And the song is great.
Yeah, well.
And every...
I have a love-hate with it, I have to say.
Really?
Well,
what do you hate about it?
Okay, listen, I've probably heard that song and heard renditions of that song more than most people alive.
Well,
And even my dear friends send me, babies in nappies playing guitars singing "Hey Jude," which I really don't need.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
I'm thankful. Listen, I'm thankful for the song without question, but it's also.
You're right. I see.
The other real thing is that people don't really understand that that's a stark and dark reminder of actually what happened. Of the fact that Dad walked away, left Mum and I. That was a point of complete change and complete disruption and complete darkness and sadness. I mean, I was only 3, but I recognized something was up, But for Mum, again, she was, it was heartbreaking. So it's a reminder of that time and that place. So I get both sides of it, but a lot of people don't necessarily understand. There's a dark, the yin and the yang of that song.
For you, yes.
For sure.
Now I totally understand.
I try to explain.
I feel stupid not seeing that before you had to explain it to me, but I get it.
Yeah.
But I wrote this book review for the New York Times book review about a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe 3. I don't know. Time goes too fast. It was called 150 Glimpses of the Beatles. I forget the name of the author. He apparently has written a series, 150 Glimpses of.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Never heard of that.
It's supposed to be very big in England.
Never.
So anyway, they asked me to do the book review, which I did, and enjoyed it. The review and some of the book.
Was it an American author?
I don't think so, because the other one I think was about the Queen.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right. So.
Not that Americans aren't fucking obsessed with your Queen.
Yeah.
I never understand that. It's not even our Queen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
The whole thing's weird, but yeah.
There was I think the gist of my review was saying that, like, when he shed light on something that I, as a Beatlephile, had known for years, but never really had the details fleshed out. It was a great book.
Right.
Like he said, I always knew that the Beatles had lost their, sexual innocence in Hamburg.
Right.
I didn't know the other 3 actually watched George Harrison lose his virginity.
I didn't know that either.
That band was tight. You didn't know? Well, this is okay. So this was in this book.
Okay. Now I'm interested in the book.
I would read my review.
Okay.
It's really funny. I really did a good job on it.
Okay.
I know. I'm overly proud of this, but I was surprised they asked me to write a book review in the New York Times.
Wow.
So anyway, he also said that Yoko used to jump in the car, and I never knew this, inundated John with letters when he was in Rishikesh. Is that the Indian place where they went in?
I don't know the correct pronunciation.
I think it's Rishikesh, something like that. Anyway, were they India?
Yeah.
Where they went.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
Yep. No, that's news to me.
So he tells the story of the dentist who got them on acid the first time. What? You know that story.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I don't know all these stories.
Well, they took acid from the dentist.
I did not know that.
Oh, come on.
No, seriously. Listen, I'm not a Beatlophile on crack.
You got to hang out with me more, because I know things that... I'm sure Paul McCartney would be a better person. You should get that on the books immediately.
I know. I've got to push that agenda forward.
He wrote that song for you. Yeah. You got to go see him.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway. Oh, I forgot. What were we talking about?
Acid, dentists.
Oh, yeah, the dentist.
The book, the review.
They famously, to all us Beatle-philes, were introduced to acid by their dentist. They met him out one night. I guess he was like the cool dentist to the stars. Anyway,
Was this in the UK, in London?
Yes, they were
swinging.
Yeah,
60s.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you were probably home, like
sucking on my thumb.
Exactly, in
crap in my pants,
in your crib with crap in your pants, and they were.
Sounds familiar.
And they got on. I remember hearing the story for years. They got on an elevator, and it was like a bulb, like one of these, but it was red, like right above your head.
Yeah.
And okay. And they thought the elevator was on fire.
Great.
And this, in the book, it really fleshed out like who that dentist was and why they were doing that with. He didn't tell them he was putting it in their coffee. That's the thing.
Oh.
He fucking doped them.
Really?
Yeah, but that was always part of the story. I'd heard. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Isn't that something?
That's. Well, and was he their dentist?
It sounds to me like he was like. There's always like a dentist to the stars. Like in cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one here.
Twinkle. Yeah.
There's others. And I think he was that guy. And so there was some social event. I guess they were at his house for dinner.
Wow.
I think it was just John and.
Now I'm curious. I must learn more.
Yeah, it was
about
just
this.
John and George.
Okay.
Because and their wives, your mother and Cynthia,
Okay.
your mother and Patty.
Yeah.
Yeah, your father took a lot in 1967. I think that was the. Did you know?
Yeah, there's a lot
No.
I need to catch up on. That's all I can.
But you were
say.
too young. You could 4. You can't tell if someone's on acid.
No. I mean, the house looked like it was insane anyway. Really.
Really?
Well, relatively speaking, the kind of furniture and decoration of some of the places we were.
You mean psychedelic, like 60s kind of
Yeah,
cool?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Did you see the Rolls Royce, the painted,
Yeah, of
famous?
course. There's a picture of me and Dad standing in front of it.
Oh yes, I think I've seen that picture.
Yeah,
So you knew that car?
yeah.
You rode in it?
Presumably, yeah. I remember Dad also had a white Mercedes, an extended Mercedes with the first vertical record player in the car. And so you sat in the back of the car, and probably the back of the driver's chair was that far away. But in the middle, in the front, was an upright record player that you put LPs in like a toaster.
Going over a bumpy road?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But it could not have worked.
It did work.
It did?
Oh, yeah, it worked. Yeah. I was fascinated by it.
So he had a record player in the...
record player, yeah.
What a baller. I mean, imagine no possessions.
I never saw one ever again, you know.
You know, Elvis Costello took a shot at him in the song The Other Side of Summer.
No.
You know that song?
No, I do not.
It's great. It's a great Elvis Costello song.
Another lovely man.
Wasn't it a millionaire who said, imagine no possessions?
Yes.
A poor little schoolboy who said, we don't need no lessons.
Yeah, very nice.
He's Elvis Costello. He's a major motherfucker, right?
Oh, yeah. And a lovely man, too.
Yes,
From
I'm
my
sure he is.
experience. I've only bumped into him once or twice, but never enough.
He and Paul did a record together.
Yeah, I know. There was that time where...
Flowers in the Dirt,
Yeah.
and it's a great record.
I've never actually listened to it.
And your father, I mean, Paul said he wanted to work with Elvis Costello because he was the closest thing.
Yeah.
Liverpool,
yeah.
the same sardonic sense
Yeah,
of humor,
for
and he
sure.
got it. I'm always surprised they didn't want to. I guess once was enough.
Once was enough, I was going to say.
Well, by that time, I mean, Paul, that was 1989, so you're on your own 20 years.
Yeah.
If you're Paul McCartney, it's kind of hard to go back to being, with a partner.
Yes.
You like being.
Oh, yeah.
You like being the boss.
Yeah.
And he deserved it.
Yeah,
He's written
for sure.
a zillion great songs.
Yeah.
Gotta call him.
Well,
You're nagging.
I know.
Bumpkin
I know.
now.
I should do it before the end of the year. I really should.
I mean, think of all the creativity that's going to unleash from that.
Who knows what will come out of that?
Yeah.
But
That's the joy of it.
yeah.
Right?
I am certainly curious.
But you know what? This does not compare, but I sometimes say to myself when something comes up about my parents, I wish I had asked them that.
Yeah.
And I can't do it now.
I know.
And once it goes, they're gone.
Oh, yeah, listen, I've learned that more so with the passing of my mother. And I'm just, now going, God, I've got no one to talk to about this. That's the freakiest feeling. It's just kind of realizing you're alone in that world, and
You mean the kind of things you would talk about with your mother, but
yeah, you always think she's going to be there, so you don't ask certain questions, so you don't think about them at that point in time.
Right.
It's only later when you're rediscovering your life and your family and hers, and even watching, as I said, George's the documentary, Living in a Material World. There was things in there, and I'm going, God, I wonder what's happened to so and so, or who. There's nobody I can ask, especially relating to her and Dad, especially.
yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I say this all the time on this show, but people on show business are funny because they only seem to really like to do things with people when it's work.
Right.
Like, we could have done this all these years, but it's just, and that's kind of even true of me with my mother, because I did a documentary called Religulous. Came out in 2008 about religion. And my mother is in the beginning of it. I mean, she died the next year. Right. We got her just in time. Once again, Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So, for whatever dumb reason, the church we used to go to let us film there. So my sister and my mother and we filmed there one day. I think it was January of 2007. And I asked her the questions that I just could have and should have asked her my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, why did we stop going to church?
Yes. Yeah.
And when she said it was because my father didn't like the Pope's birth control thing, I was like, you two are fucking? This is the last issue. And I was 51 years old when I found that out. And I should have. It's my mother.
Yeah, I know.
And I should have asked that question.
Yeah.
But I do it on, it's show people.
But again, you think they're going to be around.
Well, at that point I knew that we were.
Yeah, but you don't automatically necessarily think of, certain questions that would relate to.
No.
It's, again, I've been triggered by the documentary to look back at my life and my history a lot more than I have before.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot that I'm not aware of. There's a lot that Dad's life and our life was very, very different.
But you know what? If you really want a kid, son, you better do it now. Really.
Yeah.
Because first of all, young sperm is probably better than, I think, you can still.
Thanks. You set me up for.
No, I think you could still produce a nice cupful of decent, grade A, English sperm.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that you can, drink till 7 a.m. tells me a lot about your constitution.
Yeah. Okay.
But do you have a date? Do you have a girlfriend? How far back do we have to get this process to get you?
It's complicated.
It is?
Yeah.
You musicians, that's the problem.
No, I love love. I'd love to be in a relationship, but I just, I'm waiting to be hit by a truck for some reason. I don't know, I have great and close relationships. I mean, most of my true friends are females, women. I just get on with them incredibly well. But I just haven't found that, at least in recent years, and I haven't found someone I want to be with. So, and that's a difficult one, And and maybe I'm too picky, too choosy, but I'm not. I don't want to be in a situation that isn't real for me.
Don't you think a lot of it just is the way the modern world is? It's not really conducive to the monotony of a monogamous relationship because everything else changes so quickly. There's so many stimuli. It's just the world moves at this rapid pace.
I know a lot of people that have, that are on opposite sides of that argument, that are incredible relationships that are just solid and have the longevity.
How do you know?
Yes, I do.
Well, yeah,
So
but but I will say this, married people have an amazing ability to, until the very moment it explodes publicly, put on a front. It's the one thing that...
Well, that's very Hollywood, though.
That's not just... I think that's everywhere. I think when people are always surprised. Oh, my God, they split up. Yeah, because they put on such a great show. They don't want to look like they're having troubles.
Agreed. I have to agree with you on that. No, there's a lot of... But that, for the most part, many are trying to work it out, trying to figure it out. But sometimes that's, I think, what's very saddening is having to walk away from love is a very, very difficult one.
But there's actually a lot...
And I've done that and been there.
A lot more people than ever, just, that you could name celebrities, who have never gotten married.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you, me, Oprah, the Pope.
Came close a few times. Thanks. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we fit in that
Owen Wilson.
Fit in that category.
Come on, there's people. I'm telling you, Diane Keaton. I mean, there's people. Jennifer Aniston. I just think it's like, oh no, she got married a couple of times. Okay, not her.
Diane Keaton never got married.
No.
Really?
And the Pope. But I feel like this just says there's a certain personality type. And it's nothing to be judged in any way. It's just different. Like you have red hair and I have blonde hair. And it's just a personality.
But I've been in a couple of incredible relationships.
So have I. Who hasn't? It didn't, obviously there's a reason why we're not now. And we never took it. We never went all the way to Baghdad. Right?
Yeah, whether it's,
Did you get close, like almost engaged?
Oh, yeah.
I was engaged too. But we got out of it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
that's how much we don't want to be married.
Well, no,
that even when we're engaged, we get out of it.
Well, I mean, listen, the last one, relationship I was in, I wanted to go all the way. But certain circumstances within the relationship and family environment made it impossible to move forward. So I can't get any deeper than that, and maybe it'll come out one day. But it was a very sad and awkward situation. That's just.
Well, I hope you're happy. You're such a sensitive guy.
I'm okay.
Yeah, you seem
for the most part, I'm pretty level these days, and I think a lot has to do with being motivated for work and trying to be excited about projects, and also but the idea that because I've taken on the mantle of doing so many kind of things that I love to do, again, with whether it's music, whether it's the photography, whether it's the White Feather Foundation, whether it's the documentary stuff like Kiss the Ground, and a number of things like that. I'm hoping that at some point I'll meet someone, especially in that creative environment, But that's what keeps me going. That's what kind of keeps me alive in all of this. It's that, it's the experiences in life that I find so much joy in, not saying it's always happy, but certainly that's what keeps me going, If I stop, then I'll keel over. That's
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I never look back.
Yeah.
I only look forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
The past is gone. But you just seem to have a good attitude about it. Like you're not a complainer. Certainly not publicly. I never heard any of this.
I've bitched a few times, but it gets you nowhere. It doesn't do anything. There's no point.
That's one
onwards
thing.
And upwards. I agree.
The generation that gave birth to us.
Yes.
Your parents were born in World War II.
Yeah. Exactly.
My parents were in World War II.
Right.
Fighting. My mother was a nurse, an army nurse.
Wow.
They were both overseas. My mother was in London during the Blitz.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking amazing?
Oh, that is. Yeah.
And that generation, they just carry on.
Yeah, I mean,
especially the fucking British, bro.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean,
no, you know, Mum was. I remember Mum talking about her mother, my grandmother. You know, putting her on a train, you know, with a whole bunch of other kids to escape, you know, the Blitz and what was going on, the war in the major cities throughout England, and they were separated from family and this for a long time, and some never made it. Back, etc., etc. So it was an extraordinary time that the British, you know, really did carry on, you know, and survive. It's astonishing that they didn't, you know, really. I mean, even till their dying day, a lot of the old guys that, you know, that are still just about hanging on, they never complained about anything.
No,
they never complained. It's astonishing.
They were not pussies.
No.
Everybody today, all they do is complain.
Yeah.
Everything is just finding a reason you can bitch about something.
Oh, completely.
Such a bunch of fucking little bitches. That's all they do is find a reason.
Yeah, and you know, they haven't, as far as I can see, been through any experience to give them that right to even complain about anything. You know.
Now, can you imagine being born? I mean, your father was born 1940, right?
Yeah.
October 1940.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is, you know, right in the middle of World War II.
Yeah.
You know, America hadn't gotten into it yet. But I mean, isn't John Lennon's middle name Winston for Winston Churchill? I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean that. We're only in one generation removed from all that. And you think from that to...
And you think we would have learned a few things by now, but we still haven't.
No, not the lizard brain kind of thing. No. We learned technological things. We made the iPhone.
Yeah.
We have AI. Yeah. But I remember last time I was in London, I did a touristy thing and, you know, took the tour of Churchill's, like, wartime... fucking cave that he lived in. It was like, it's right in the middle of London, but it's underground.
The bunker.
Yes, he had a bunker. Okay. And the telephones are like from the time it was, and you see all this stuff, and it's like, this could be like the fucking Middle Ages.
Oh yeah.
And it's my, one generation before me, and now AI. I mean, what you think of how fast things really move.
Shockingly.
They seem slow when you're living it day by day.
Oh, even in the last 6 months to a year, it's leaps and bounds. It's scaring the crap out of me.
What is how fast things change?
Yeah, well, just again, it's like we're dealing with enough misinformation around the world as it is. And now to be able to look and sound like someone else completely, is...
I'm a little allergic to that word misinformation.
Okay.
Because it's used by certain people, like the medical establishment in America, to basically say, we own the science, which you don't. That's the opposite of what science is, which is testing things against other things.
Sure.
So, when I hear misinformation, what I hear is, Dr. Fauci, who I don't think he's an evil genius, and I don't think he's a genius. What I hear is him basically saying, or people like that saying, don't even try to present an alternative view on this scientific medical matter, even though medicine has been wrong about a million things and still is. Because that's misinformation. Now, sometimes things really are misinformation. I'm just saying, when I hear that word, it triggers me. It triggers me.
That's okay. It's good to be triggered sometimes.
Yes, that's a good attitude. It is. You can't. I say that to myself all the time. Like, do something to force yourself out of your security bubble. Like, because it's very easy when we're doing.
You can't become complacent all the way down. You have to.
What?
You have to be nudged every once in a while, poked in the side.
So what do you do to nudge yourself? I fly private. No.
Well, live. That's enough. Walk out the door. Read a few emails. That'll knock me sideways sometimes.
What do you mean? Like from who?
It depends on the situation.
Reading email.
Well, I mean, just if something is potentially going to change the way you live, the way you work, or
I mean like bad, scary emails?
Scary stuff. Yeah, well, again, because I have this anxiety that I can read one thing that will ruin the whole day for me.
It's so funny you say that because like there are things like that. Some of it is like press stuff.
Yeah.
Or some of it is an email.
Yeah.
That if I see it, if it comes in like later in the evening.
Yeah.
I won't read it because I'll be, no, I have to read this like first thing in the day.
Right.
So that I have all day to sort of let my brain forget it so it doesn't keep me up at night when I sleep.
Right.
I actually will time when I read shit because yes, scary.
I find it very difficult to not read things, but I have to say that at least I allow myself these days to not look at the phone or do emails before I've actually got up and had a good hour, having a little bit of breakfast and coffee and sitting outside, looking at the world, taking in some fresh air and just going, and finding some level of strength or a good, foundation to deal with whatever's going to be delivered.
But there are always problems.
Yeah.
No person has no problems.
It just seems more frequent these days.
Well, it's the caliber of the problem.
Yeah.
It's how elegant is your problem. I bet you your problems are fairly elegant compared to problems that people can have, right?
Sure, absolutely.
You never have no problems. It's just, do you have Cadillac problems?
Right.
Or do you have Plymouth Duster problems? And I know what it's like to have both. I'm so glad for that I had years that sucked when I was depressed like that for good reason.
Yeah.
Because for the rest of your life, you appreciate it all a lot.
Yeah, I and that's my thing. That's what I try to do so hard these days is just appreciate and be thankful.
It made me for the rest of my life always look at a problem that I was having in that way. Like,
I know. I need to slap myself around the head.
No, I mean, I don't know what your problems are. They could be horrendous. I mean, the worst problems of all happen at our age because the worst problem of all is health.
Well, this is key. That
So nothing compares.
Agreed, and I think a lot of my frustration, I guess you could say, is the pain I feel with the people that I know and love that are not well.
Right.
And you can only do so much. So
no.
So that hurts.
Well, but I mean, yes, that's noble to worry about other people, but as the years climb up, the person you're mostly worried about with that issue is you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And in that, I think it's the same George Harrison documentary.
Yeah.
There's a great moment where Roy Orbison dies.
Yes.
That's not what a great moment.
No,
Roy Orbison was great. It was a terrible moment.
Yeah.
In the movie. Okay, so, he was in the Traveling Wilburys.
Yes, of course.
That band.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah, George Harrison, for you kids out there, put together a supergroup about 20 years after the Beatles had broken up, the early 90s. And it was Bob Dylan, Tom Petty,
I know.
Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, and George Harrison. They put out 2 albums. They're good.
They were fantastic.
Yeah. They all took turns and they worked on some stuff together, but yeah. And, why did I tell you that? It's very important. In the documentary. This is the documentary. So when Roy Orbison dies, Tom Petty tells this story on camera.
Yes.
And he says, when Roy Orbison died, I called up George, and before he even said hello, he said, "Aren't you glad it wasn't you?"
Yeah, I know.
And I thought, I adore that kind of honesty.
Yeah.
It's what I go for, and it's hard. I mean, of course, he's saying this privately, so there's going to be no repercussions, but it's still super honest.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
If you and I are in a plane crash together and there's no food, I might have to eat you.
That's okay.
I'm just saying.
Cheers to that.
Just the way of the world.
Well, as long as we both agree we can eat each other.
Yeah, why can't we? We could live longer. You eat my foot, and I'll eat your foot, but we're not going to kill.
You're welcome.
Let's make a pact that if that happens, we don't kill each other.
No.
We start feeding each other an equal body part. Although
I've got the visual of that, unfortunately.
How big's your dick? Because when we get down to that, I don't want to get gypped.
Sorry. Jesus.
What?
Nothing.
Did I say something wrong?
No, not at all. I've just got the visuals on this in my head that are playing.
So
that may be looped for a long time.
How long are you in town for after this amazing highlight of your career?
Oh my God. I'm here for a few weeks.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Los Angeles has a lot of amazing Beatle history. Of course, the visit with Elvis. You know about that?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm being well educated.
Okay, so the Beatles were out here in '65, I think it was, their second American tour, and they had a few days off. They rented a place in Bel Air, no, I think that's Blue Jay Way, the song Blue Jay Way.
Yeah, I do.
Elvis had a place in Bel Air, and he was in town, and they went and visited Elvis.
That's
the way George Harrison describes it in the documentary, so funny. Not that one, the anthology. He says, we got stoned before we went over there. And he said, then when we got to the house, it was just like a Beatles cartoon where we tumble out of the limousine and fall on the ground.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But Elvis was not very nice, as you might imagine.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
He was a little cold.
Yeah, I've heard
He
stories.
felt threatened, and he had been superseded, and, so he kind of, but...
Yeah, I've heard a few things, but
he was someone who disappointed them when they, because they loved him when he was the main inspiration.
Of course.
How could you not be? I mean, he was so overwhelming in those first couple of years.
Absolutely.
But I remember Paul saying after he went in the Army, and he came out of the Army, he said it was never the same. Like the little twinkle in his eye was gone. They kind of took the.
I was. I saw the Elvis movie. Did you see that?
I did.
What were your thoughts?
Great performance, not great movie.
Yeah. Well, I was shocked. I didn't know the whole background to Elvis and his whole storyline.
You don't even know the Beatles.
Yeah, correct. I told you my memory's gone to shit.
It's not your memory. It's just it's so interesting that you.
Yeah, I don't absorb things in certain ways.
What about, okay, here's another LA moment that someone's going to tell you this. So, your father was at the Troubadour one night.
Yeah, I know that.
And wound up with a Kotex on his head?
I don't know about that, but I know about...
Google Kotex on John Lennon's head.
And
I can't remember exactly what that even means. I think that's some sort of woman's personal item.
Was that with Harry Nilsson? Was that night?
And I believe Ringo. It was during the...
Lost Weekend?
Lost Weekend, which for you kids again out there was really 18 months, okay? So I know John and Yoko had the perfect fairy tale.
Yeah, because I came out here to visit him.
Oh, out here to LA?
Yeah.
What year?
No idea, but...
Well, how old were you?
Young.
Okay.
I honestly...
10, 5? No, he wasn't out here. He moved to...
It was in between sort of 7 and 10, maybe 11.
Yeah, because he moved to America in 1970 and never set foot in England again.
Yeah, I know, which he wanted to do. He wanted to come back.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah.
It was because of immigration?
No, he wanted to reacquaint with his family and friends. He had half-sisters back in England.
So in the 80s, he would have gone to England?
Yeah, for sure. He was planning,
as
far as I know, he was planning a trip to come back over.
But when you saw him, you always had to come out here to America?
Yeah.
So mostly it was in New York?
Well, except in the early days when he was living at Ascot, which is Tittenhurst Park, which is where he did Imagine.
Sure, I know.
The studio.
I remember the video.
Because I used to go out there on weekends on quite a few occasions.
So this is not the house you remember growing up in when he was with your mother.
No.
This is the Yoko house.
Yeah. If you want to put it that way, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which is an amazing space. I mean, it was a wonderland for me as a kid. I think I was about 7 at that time.
It's got to be tough with you and Sean.
No,
because
it's not.
Well,
listen, when I was younger...
You must have feelings about her that he doesn't, because it's his mother.
Well, I used to.
She plays such a different role in each of your lives.
Yes, very much so. But that's, that was a different time and a different place. But I certainly, when I first came to New York going to visit him as a kid at the Dakota, and saw that he had a room dedicated to every toy known to mankind, and I was jealous.
That was Elvis Costello's point.
Oh yeah, no, I was upset.
But that's got to be heaven for a kid.
I was just annoyed that I didn't have those things.
Oh right, you only visited.
But I got over that. I figured I didn't need that, and I wasn't going to get it anyway. So, again, I've always felt like a quiet survivor, kind of like Mum in that regard.
You got dealt a shit hand.
Yeah,
it's always. I mean,
it's a weird one.
It's
been a weird one.
I always acknowledge that I had a huge advantage in life. Parents.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, in the time when I was born, 1956, also, yes, race.
Yeah.
There was advantages of, I'm sure there was comedy clubs that were like, no, we're going to hire the white comic
sure.
instead of the black one. In 1980, that absolutely, I'm sure. So I acknowledge that, but I also acknowledge parents. It's like, it's to have two stable, loving parents who with the right amount of discipline, and we weren't like I love you kind of family. People didn't do that back then.
I was certainly very jealous of that.
You should be, because it's great, and it allows you, and it allows.
Well, the funny thing was, I sought after that. I mean, it wasn't a thing I initially went looking for, but it was certainly with my last ex. Her family were everything to me because I felt like I had the family that I never had, Right. So that and they were a close knit family, and I loved that. I would do anything to be part of that, be cared for and loved, and because I'd pretty much been a loner,
Yeah, I think you're more normal than I am. I think I should have that desire too.
But it was something that I
don't feel that bad about it.
No, but it's something I certainly missed over the years, and I thought, having that family element would certainly make me feel happier, I guess, at that time anyway.
I'm thinking now of that song, awesome one. I mean, your father has a million awesome songs, but I mean, certainly he showed in his last record that he still had it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because Starting Over is just a great record.
That was the first.
Phil Spector, Crazy Matty Is.
That was the first song that Dad played me when we were starting to get closer. Just before he was killed.
Late 70s.
He played. I remember hearing that. I was in my attic, which was my bedroom in North Wales, when I was about 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly. And he played Starting Over the phone to me.
Wow.
And I said I did love it. And then he starts sending me a bunch of copies of the actual album. And
see, this is my thing. It's so tragic because that's exactly his story with his mother. I was just starting to get to know her again.
No, it's exactly that.
And then she's taken away from me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's spooky.
Yeah. Again, something I didn't want to repeat if I could.
What?
just that how the sequence of things that happened in his life.
Right.
You know, because I believe, wasn't he 17 when his mother passed?
Yeah, I'm saying it's eerily similar.
Exactly.
Especially the part about just getting to know again and music. I mean, it's all,
I know. It's a real shit. You know.
It's very House of Atreus, kind of Greek, those Greek cycles where it's always recurring and,
But I was well aware of that. I was fully aware of that weird cycle.
Right.
I had to break it. I just couldn't. Whatever it took, I had to change that. And I believe I have. So, especially with the timeline. Whatever happened.
I mean, your father has a lot of songs about like wanting to bust out of a prison. Watching the wheels.
Yeah.
Or just like, there's a bunch about sleeping. I'm only sleeping. I'm so tired. And a lot of it is...
We share that. We share those moments.
He has a lot of songs that are about, leave me the fuck alone. I just want to hang out and do nothing today.
We have written very similar
Is that true?
songs.
You inherited that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the early Beatles stuff, obviously, I'm only sleeping, when I wake up early in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, all that stuff, I loved all of that stuff, the melodies, the rhythm, the visuals,
I mean, he obviously was distracted way more in the 70s, first by the fact that he'd already conquered the world in the 60s, so there's less motivation, but then he's got a little kid and Yoko and the blah, blah, blah. But there was still great songs. Jealous Guy.
Yeah,
Which The Weeknd, did you see, just redid?
No, I didn't.
He did it for his HBO show, The Idol.
No,
and he redid Jealous Guy. Very good.
No, I tried to watch that show.
I know, but the song.
Okay, well,
it's a great song.
Yeah, no, it's a classic song. Beyond a classic song. It's. I think it's something everybody feels. Certainly.
But the melody.
Yeah.
When you know that it started out as a completely different song?
Oh, yeah.
Called Nature.
Yeah.
Child of Nature.
Yes, yeah.
It just shows artists, they're...
Morphing.
Well, I think we're all this way. If you have a little nugget of something that's good, you square it away, You save it. He had this...
Oh, yeah, no.
The lyrics of this song are not working, but there's this, I love this melody. I'm going to just completely write something new. And
well, I can relate to that because I think you're aware that with this last album, Jude, that half of the songs on it are from over 30 years ago. Nuggets, so to speak, that had no place anywhere else. And I just thought, I don't want to lose them, but there's got to be somewhere. And this last album, which I thought I was never going to do, became the Nuggets.
I'm the same way. I mean, it would be nice to think that it's all inspiration, but a lot of it is just saving. And
there's something to that.
Yeah. I mean, comics do it with jokes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have
books of lyrics and one-liners and comments, and
I have a manila envelope that is stuffed to the gill with cocktail napkin. That when in the 80s, when I was when there was no phone to record.
Of course.
And when I was high and out, which was a lot, and a young comic, and everything is a bit, and so you just write down, and I saved them. I probably couldn't even tell what half of them mean now, but it's just funny that you think, I'm a squirrel, and the more nuts I save, and it's kind of true.
It's true. It's very true.
I have notebooks and notebooks, and for every...
I just wonder if I'm ever going to get used to go through them all. I wonder if I'm ever going to make it through that stuff.
I think you remember. I think you know where the good stuff is. I think you know where to find it.
But it's also not dissimilar to photography, because something that you thought was... I know a lot of photographers throw away a lot of their images and a lot of their things because they just go, it's not a good one, throw it. We're just going to. But I'm one of those that keeps everything, a bit of a hoarder in that regard. But 10 years later, I'll look back at a bunch of photos, and it'll be exactly what I'm thinking or want to do today. And
I know that syndrome where I say to myself, thank you, young me, for salting away this little nugget that old me is very grateful that you put this aside.
Oh yeah,
because I am that way. I've
got many more nuggets to go.
Yeah,
I'm still working through about another 10 tracks.
I'm glad you're still making nuggets.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm extraordinarily flattered you made time to come here. I know you don't do a lot of things like this.
No.
It's been an incredible pleasure. And who was that third person we said we were going to